Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Coalition League's Summer Split Week 3. I'm Random Minion Caster, and this is the Noxus Division. Vengeful Reapers versus Glacial Inferno here. This afternoon we did get to see DOB Nightfall and MG Nitro go at it earlier today, and it was a bit of a sweep, but this series is most likely going to be a violent one on the blue side. We've got Vengeful Reapers, and with a bit of a lane, Jason KB23 in the top lane, Noise in the jungle, Microthorn rotating into the mid lane. There's going to be Drizzle and JD Leon 1 as support. On the red side, it's going to be Glacial Inferno in the top lane, Jesus 9 in the jungle, Kamehame Wave, mid laner Windstorm 0610, ADC That Grow JWTV, and in the support position, previously with Imagine Wagons, now in for Glacial Inferno, it's going to be Phallic Phenom. And previously he did play mid lane, was a bright spot for the team of Imagine Wagons. This time he's going into the support position. We'll have to see if he slots in here just as well as he did in the mid lane position. Now both these teams are having a bit of problems thus far in the league, have been struggling to find wins for themselves. Vengeful Reapers, very aggressive team, constantly looking for fights, and even when they lose, it always looks as if they could have won if just one fight, one little thing had gone their way. On the red side, Glacial Inferno also been struggling a little bit, especially from that bot lane, and they've now switched up their support. Previously it was Nimue playing for them, and they've got Phallic Phenom in right now, so hopefully that can shake things up a little bit and he can help to score them at least a win here in the series, if not winning the series outright. Now in terms of picks and bans here, we're going to start with Vengeful Reapers on the blue side. They're banning out the Ornn, Yasuo, Nocturne, Orianna, and Darius. So a bit spread out here. 2 in the top, 2 in the mid, and 1 in the jungle. And that Orianna definitely targeted at Windstorm, who done quite well with it. The Yasuo as well, though they did not manage to find a win despite Windstorm playing so well on those champions. On the side of Glacial Inferno, they're going to ban out Thresh, Katarina, Wukong, Diana, and Aatrox. And they had to change their bans up a little bit because Jason KB and Microthorn switching lanes as well. So their champion pool in those lanes will be slightly different now in terms of picks. Vengeful Reapers going with the Lucian, Alistar, Echo, Cassiopeia, and Camille, and this will be the first Camille we're seeing in the summer split. Previously we had seen it in the spring split, and it had mixed effect, most notably used by, I believe it was a Dirty Hobo previously of MG Blaze, who kind of ran it down and was very sink or swim with it. We'll have to see if Jason can do better here with that Camille in the top lane. And Glacial Inferno going with the Leona, Ashe, Olaf, Rise, and Veigar here. So very, very late scaling comp for the side of Glacial Inferno. They've got the Rise, they've got the Veigar. Both of those champions want to scale up. They've got the Olaf coming up the jungle. Will give them a bit of that early mid-game strength that they'll need to get over the hump for their solo lanes here. Now that being said, I am a little concerned for the draft here coming out of Glacial Inferno. They've drafted themselves a Leona Ashe bot lane. It's very, very strong at level 6, and it looks like they're going to count on that bot lane to sort of get them through the mid game. Now the bot lane has been a bit of a weakness here for Glacial Inferno, so we'll have to see if they manage to survive and get their solo lanes out. If they do, they will be in a very strong position to close this one out here. Vengeful Reapers composition, again, very typical of Vengeful Reapers. Very mixed here. Not exactly the best team fight composition, neither is it the best split push composition, but what it is very good at is fighting at all stages of the game. You've got the Lucian, Alistar in the bot lane. That is a kill lane with the amount of CC, with the amount of damage coming out. If they can get on Ashe, if they can bypass the Leona, there's going to be kills aplenty there. Mid lane, Microthorn on the Cassiopeia will be scaling up. Is a solid pick, especially into the Veigar. Neither of them particularly strong early, but I think Cassiopeia having the edge in the absence of a jungler, and Noise going with the Echo can be very aggressive, and I am expecting to see Noise be aggressive on this champion. He has been a fairly active early game jungler here throughout the split, and I don't see why he would change that up on the Echo. And in the top lane, Jason KB on the Camille. Camille, very, very strong duelist, so would be expecting that to see that constantly as well. So I think on the side of Vengeful Reapers, they're the ones who have to sort of pick up the pace of the game. They don't want to let the Rise, they don't want to let the VGR scale up. They don't really have a lot of tankiness besides the Alistar, so they don't want to let VGR hit that infinite scaling point where he can just one-shot anybody in one rotation. And they certainly have the tools and the mindset to do it here. And with that, we are now going to head over to Summoner's Rift. Looking like neither team going for that level 1 invade here, and really there's no reason to. Both teams having fairly strong level 1 CC, the Pulverize available for JD, as well as the stuns coming out of Phallic Phenom. Both teams just happy to start up defensively, and it really does favor Glacial Inferno. They don't want to give up anything level 1 and let Vengeful Reaper start the snowball really early and just run over them in the early game here. And I do think on the side of Glacial Inferno, Kamehameha Wave is going to have the decision to make whether he's going to try and support these weaker lanes, the top and the mid lane, or whether he's going to try and snowball that bot lane. Personally, I think bot lane will be the key to this for the side of Glacial Inferno. But top lane, Rise, usually a ranged champion, has a small advantage over melee champions. However, against the Camille, who's so mobile, who can gap close so well, it's going to be really risky to do that. And one thing I'd also like to want to point out is the mid laners here. Microthorn taking the cleanse for himself, going to be very, very aware of that Event Horizon from Windstorm. Windstorm opting for the teleport though. In a way, it's a bit more of an active, aggressive sort of summoner here for himself. Able to sort of get to the other lanes, potentially find some kills elsewhere, but he does have to be extremely careful for the Petrifying Gaze as well as the Echo Stun. If either of those get him, he could see himself bursted down in really, really quick order there. And with that, the bot lane here, we're going to be the focus for the early game, because both of them will want to hit that level 2. And it looks like it's going to be Glacial Inferno who's going to get the push on early here, which means they will most likely be the first ones to hit level 2. And if they hit level 2 first, they will have the option to engage. Now, Alistar generally considered a counter to the Leona. Engage has the Pulverize, has the hit, but can just disengage anytime they really want to here. And we do see the level 2, the Zenith Blade coming out, the stun as well. But they've gone on to JD, the Alistar. That's not the target they wanted. You can already see that they've traded back fairly well. And that was before they even hit level 2 there. Alistar has healing in his kit as well. Will be able to passively heal up in the lane. And that will put the bot lane of Glacial Inferno on the back foot if they don't constantly look for those engages and find Lucian, not JD. And the junglers here, Kamehameha Wave, getting real low on his clear, to be expected from an Olaf. And Noise with the healthier clear has already gone to the top lane. Will be able to get the stun off. No, the flash from Jessus will keep him alive. But unfortunately from Jason KB, able to just gap close. And first blood gonna come out. And it's gonna go over to Noise there for the side of Vengeful Reapers. And this is kind of what we expected. Noise with the Echo gonna be making the early moves onto these very, very weak lanes. And really, Jesus should have known that, should have put the ward down. Same with Windstorm. Now bot lane, we're going to see a flash hit but to get Phallic Phenom close to turret, but he didn't quite get the right angle. Did not get him under turret. The exhaust going to come out really early there, but Phallic Phenom going to be able to get out alive from that flash. And that's going to be Jadalian's flash and exhaust down in the bot lane. They traded that for that girl's heal there to keep Phallic Phenom alive, but we'll have to be careful for Phallic Phenom's engagement. Noise gonna bounce from the top lane straight to the mid lane. Saw that Windstorm used the teleport, will not have it available, so if he can get a good gank off, can force Windstorm back to base, Windstorm's gonna have to take the time to walk back into lane. That's really gonna hurt him if they can get that off here. Kamehameha Wave right now, just farming it up. It looks like he's about 2 camps up from Noise right now, a level up as well. Has spent his entire time just clearing out as fast as he can, and that's typical of an Olaf. It does have an extremely early, fast early wave clear, if a little risky, so he can keep power farming, wait till he gets that 6, unlocks the Ragnarok, and then look for a forced gank down and through a lane. Would be able to find it top lane though. Jason has to be careful. He's taking a lot of damage here from Jesus, who did teleport back into the lane. Will be able to wall hop away to safety, and bot lane Noise looking for a gank there, forcing the flash out of Phallic Phenom, and that girl going to take a lot of damage on that. will be able to get away. And now Kamehameha has arrived. Noise, however, same level for now, is going to go in, flashing in, trying to get that girl. Will not find it, but they might be able to pick up Kamehameha instead. No, he gets away with the flash, and that's a whole bunch of flashes blown here in the bot wave. All the flashes down for Glacial, Inferno, and on the side of Vengeful, they just burnt one from Noise to bait out all those summoners there. And Kamehameha's counter gank there not working out well for him. Does have to be careful. Would have been better off just constantly farming his jungle. They wouldn't have dove this early here. Alistair not quite tanky enough yet. Noise not unlocked the Chrono Break either. Instead, he will pick himself up the completed jungle item, the Stalker's Blade there for himself. And Noise just going to try and farm up, catch up a little bit as well. In the top lane, Jez is already out of mana. Has to be careful here. Will not be able to trade effectively against Jason. Just using the auto attacks for now, but that's causing minions to aggro onto him, and he's losing a lot of health actually to those minions, and Jason's able to trade back just from the minion damage while he continues to farm up. Mid lane, Microthorn taking a lot of damage, has to be careful. The Primordial Burst comes out, the Petrifying Gaze in reply, but the Petrifying Gaze not going to find him, just going to get the slow bot lane. Phallic Phenom is stunned up, running away. Can Drizzle catch this? Has to be careful, he's sat in the middle of a minion wave, and they are blocking him. He can't quite get around them, and the minions forming a wall to keep Phallic Phenom alive there. Oftentimes we don't see minions being all that meaningful in these sort of fights, but right there you could see how many of them had stacked up, and the way they just completely blocked out Drizzle and JD from getting any further, just completely stopping them and putting out the damage as well, forcing Drizzle to be careful that he didn't want to stay in that wave over chase and get hit by the slows, get kited out as well. And we take a quick look at the CS numbers right now. It's fairly even, fairly balanced across the entire map. There's about a 300 gold difference, and that's mostly just from that first blood, which we saw Noise manage to pick up here. In the top lane, Jason's been able to find himself the smallest of leads, but now that Jesus has gone back, picked himself up the tier, the Rise is going to start scaling there. Rise, one of the few champions who can scale with that tier, the tier of the Goddess we had mentioned earlier today when Piglet was playing the Kassadin. That too scales on the tier, but Rise, another one here. So we'll be able to start stacking that and won't have to worry quite as much about the mana as he was earlier, because he was running out of mana a lot, and you can see he's trading quite well onto Jason right now, putting down quite a bit of damage. But Jason not afraid, but maybe he should be, because we do see Kamehameha waiting in the wings here, looking to see if he can get anything, but Jason wisely backing off. It looks like should be safe for now. And despite quite a lot of ganks in the early game, Noise being proactive, ganking all three lanes, we've hit a bit of a lull phase here where both teams are just farming it up. The Drake and Herald both available right now, and we'll have to see who decides to make the moves towards these. It is the Ocean Drake, so definitely one of the most valuable early game Drakes. Both teams would be more than happy to get it, but honestly, for the side of Glacial Inferno, they can afford to give the Drake up. Yes, it would be helpful and beneficial for them, but at the same time, both Jesses and Windstorm are going to be really squishy in the laning phase. If they get caught out, there's a very good chance they're going to get 100 to 0 by a gank right away. So the healing there might not be as big a deal. And besides, they have the scaling team. They're the ones who can afford. But once again, JD, his flash off cooldown, just going to engage again. He's got the exhaust down, and Noise here this time to make sure they get it. That girl gonna go down. It's gonna be JD picking that one up, and they're gonna keep going for Phallic Phenom. But mid lane, Microthorn initiates onto Windstorm, but the Primordial Burst gonna be what ends it here, and he's gonna go down, instead trading it over. That's a 1-for-1 in the mid lane. Bot lane, 2-for-1 as Phallic Phenom with the Ignite managed to find Drizzle there in action, exploding right now across the bot side of the map. Kamehameha wave late to the party will be hanging around, and we'll have to see if Vengeful feels like this is sufficient for them to start the Drake up, because it will be two of them only, the tank and the jungler here, and they do get spotted out by that Grow and the Hawk Shot. don't have enough vision. They don't see Kamehameha waiting on the wings. And Kamehameha himself, also no vision as well, is going to have to go in blind. Was just waiting for the teleport from Windstorm. And now it's going to be a 3v2 as that girl is here as well. Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming out. They're going to find Noise. He could not Chrono Break. Was CC'd. And Kamehameha Wave going to be able to pick up the Drake as well. They're going to thank the side of Vengeful for starting this up. And Windstorm going to pick up a double kill as he gets JD2. And this is one of the worst ways this could have happened for the side of Vengeful Reapers. They give up the early Ocean Drake and they give a double kill to VGR. That's not what you want to see. He has a weak laning phase, but we've seen VGRs take over games. Most notably, coming to mind, we've got Duero as well as... can't quite recall who the other person, I believe was SF80's mid laner? No, it wasn't. But basically, VGR, when he gets ahead early, can become an absolute nightmare. Now, they are going to try and rectify this right now. Event Horizon comes down, but there's no Primordial Burst quite yet. It will be off shortly. He just needs to survive till then, but he will not be able to. The gank from Jason KB is good. They convert the gank into a kill, and now Kamehameha Wave, his Ragnarok's up. He's been dragged into the arena there, and he will go down. That's a double kill back the way of Microthorn here. And Vengeful Reapers firing back. This is what they're known for. Scrappy, aggressive team that just wants to fight. If you get a double kill, they'll be more than happy to take it off your cold dead body as well. And they do manage to pick up the bounty there for Microthorn. Another 300 gold in addition to that double kill. And while that was happening in the bot lane, that Grow and Felix also forced out of their lane once again. They had to go back to base. Will now have the item lead though, but I'm not sure how big a deal that will be, honestly, when they've been pushed out constantly. And Vengeful Reaper able to leverage that double kill in the mid lane, pick themselves up the Herald here, so will be able to drop it in one of the lanes, get some plate gold, maybe even potentially get first turret. We'll have to see what they want to do with that. Going back to this bot lane here, Leona Ashe, level 6, can CC for days, can do a ton of damage, but at the same time, they have to be careful because they have to catch Drizzle, and Lucian, a very, very mobile champion, can try and dodge out of Solar Flares. And there you go, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes up, but it's dodged out, and they don't want to go on Jadelian. He has the Unbreakable Will for himself as well, can reduce damage, can try and block CC, but he will go down through sheer damage. That Primordial Burst, even through the damage reduction, can still take him down, and a good roam out from Windstorm. Top lane, we do see the gank and counter gank as Noise was looking for Jezus, but unfortunately will not be able to quite get him under the turret, and that will buy enough time for Kamehameha Wave to show up. Will push him out as well. And this is a much more active Glacial Inferno than we've seen in previous weeks. The culling now coming out for Drizzle. Can he find the girl? Because she's run away. He's going to flash in, look for the kill. But the stun from Felix Phenom is so timely. Will stop the aggression. That's going to be flash blown from Drizzle. And he might go down because the CC just keeps coming out. Will the Zenith Blade be out in time? Yes, the stun as well. But JD gets there just in time. Will CC up Felix Phenom, knock him under turret, and that's still going to be a kill there for Drizzle. Not the target he was looking for, but any kill is a good kill. And both these supports in the bot lane right now doing so much work. Really, the playmakers here in the bot lane. Saw Felix Phenom saving that girl just barely, and then you see JD coming back in, returning the favor as well. They've decided to drop the Herald in the mid lane, but they're not going to really walk it in. It's just going to get 2 plates for itself here. Now Microthorn running away. Has to be careful. Gets a beautiful petrifying gaze on both Kamehameha and Windstorm there. Kamehameha, no Ragnarok. Now top lane, Jason going in onto Jezus. Is lower level, but is doing more damage. A good teleport Realm Warp from Jezus will get him to safety under his turret, and Noise going to be the target here as he meets Kamehameha in the jungle, in the river, and unfortunately loses out the 1v1 there. And just a lot of duels here, 1v1s, 2v2s. We're not seeing a ton of fights. The Flash Primordial Burst from Windstorm and the Flash Wave from Microthorn. I'm not sure, maybe he didn't recognize the animation because that's a point and click. You can't run from that. Will go down to the Primordial Burst, and Windstorm now 5 2-0 in a great position for himself on that VGR. Already has the GLP completed, and one thing to point out is he is going the Glacial Augment VGR as well, so if he gets onto you, he can be just as sticky as that Ashe. And we take a quick look at the gold. It's dead even for the teams, but it's not for the individual players. But hold that thought, because bot lane JD once again gets Phallic under the turret. The solar flare comes up, but the unbreakable will cancel that CC. Great Zenith Blade to try and disengage by going on to Noise, but it will be too little, too late. Will go down to Jason instead, because the beautiful teleport gets him into the fight. Jez is late to react. Will come only after his bot lane is basically dead, and that's a 2-for-0 right now. JD reinitiating onto Jez's here, and Jez's has to be careful. He might not survive this one. We see yet another teleport coming out. It's going to be Windstorm. Jason KB chasing in a little too late, and now Windstorm has arrived. He's the cavalry. He's got the damage. Kamehameha going to go Ragnarok, but the cow's going to go golden. They will be able to take Kamehameha out while JD is in stasis right there. And a great play here from Vengeful Reapers. They only lose Jason KB, picking themselves up 3, and everybody showing up in that bot lane. It wasn't quite a full 5v5 fight, instead a much more extended skirmish. And VGR once more going to try and start this Drake up, the Cloud Drake, for themselves. This time they've got more people, they've got more damage, and they will be able to secure it quite quickly here. Petrifying Gaze coming out once again, not finding the stun. Only the slow and solar flare will counter that, and we're going to see Microthon pop immediately there. Once more giving a kill to Windstorm. He's now 6-2-0, continuing to get himself ahead here. And they will be able to push up as 4 into that mid lane. Look for the first turret of the game here. Vengeful Reapers too low to really contest this, and they're gonna get it, their first turret for themselves. And before all that action broke up, I was just going to touch on the gold lead, because it was dead even. It's now 700 in favor of Glacial Inferno. But they're going to extend it here as Jez is going to use the Realm Warp. They're going to cut Jason KB off. And Chancellor Crystal Arrow misses as Jason KB has a good flash away here. And now JD has to be careful. He's caught in the baby cage in the playpen there. Will be able to get out because he's a tanky little cow. And Jason KB doing the great escape, running into the enemy team, but now he's right into the rest of it. Windstorm able to get the Event Horizon down, and despite the effort he took, a nice long tour through the enemy jungle, he will find himself going down in the midst of 5 there. And that will even up the kill scores as well, extending that gold lead from 700 to 1,000, and a lot of that just sitting in the mid lane. You can see Windstorm up about 2,400 gold. That's absolutely massive. That's almost a completed item for himself. Kamehameha Wave is down and is where the gold differential is mostly coming from. Noise has been able to make the proactive plays, get himself ahead, but Kamehameha Wave can rely on the rest of his team to carry him, and they're going to be able to pick up the Herald as well here. So 1 Herald apiece, 1 Drake apiece as well for the teams. And Windstorm should be able to go back and purchase himself the Twin Shadows there, the spooky ghosts. And if you thought they were scary enough, they're going to get even scarier, as they're going to be the one able to find the initiates right now from afar. If they can land a spooky ghost, they can just run down their targets. Jez is also completing the Archangel's staff now, will have it stacking. Is just waiting to finish off the other item there. Might be a Frozen Heart, we'll have to see. He has the Glacial Shroud built, and generally Rises do go for that Glacial Shroud, the Frozen Heart, which will also be very strong in lane against Jason here. And once he gets that, the Rise will be pretty much online. The late game potential will start showing a little bit here, and we should see Glacial Inferno having a much better time of these fights. I say a much better time, but they've already been winning a lot of these, especially on the back of Windstorm. So if you thought Windstorm was the only threat before, you'll have to think again, as Jez's and that girl will both be coming online. And that girl opting to go for Blade of the Ruined King first on the Ashe, wanting to be able to shred through JD, and Windstorm walking into a death bush here. He's walked into 3, will get bursted down immediately, but he still managed to almost kill Drizzle just off the 1 rotation, the Primordial Burst as well as Dark Matter. And despite getting the kill, getting the shutdown, 350 gold going to Drizzle there, they will have to leave Microthorn alone in this bot lane to defend him. Microthorn has to be careful. Does have the cleanse though, so will be able to hopefully survive the initiate from that Grow and Phallic Phenom. Kame Wave getting really aggressive on that top side. Gonna drop Shelly early here. Not sure they needed it to take the turret down, but Shelly's taking long enough. They might be able to take this turret down before Shelly charges. They do, and that means that Shelly will be very confused for a moment, but will not lose any health. Will be able to walk in for that next turret. And interesting use of the Realm Warp there from Jez is just to get a little closer. They're going to see if they can get Jason, but they have to be careful because Drizzle has rotated up. This is a 3v2. This is not a dive they want here. And Jason stepping out really aggressively, but well played, using the ult to just dodge the damage. Will turn around, pick Hamehame Wave up, and now it's Noise who has to be careful. He's been caught out here. Primordial Burst not going to be able to find him, but the Solar Flare will. Phallic Phenom going to pick himself yet another kill. And Vengeful Reaper is going to fire back here onto Jesus. But unfortunately, they miss it! Jason KB able to dive back in to pick that up. Drizzle turning a little bit too early, leaving Jesus just barely alive for a second. And we'll call that kill delivered to Jason KB there. They're going to go straight for the Baron. 21 minutes. We see the question mark pings coming out from the side of Glacial Inferno. They don't have any vision, but they had the nasty sneaking suspicion. They saw the side of Vengeful Reapers just leave that turret, and Vengeful does have some vision around the river, but not behind the Baron. They do have to be careful. Will not be seeing this, but Glacial Inferno making a good adaptation. They're not going to try and contest the Baron. They will know it's down now because Jason just dropped to Baron there. But they do manage to pick themselves up the Inferno Drake here. Nice consolation prize for the side of Glacial Inferno. They get themselves yet another turret as well, and they've cracked the entire outer ring of turrets here for Vengeful Reaper. So still in a nice position. Do have to be careful though. They have to deal with the Baron push from Vengeful Reaper. And Vengeful Reapers right now might feel like they're behind based on just how some of the fights have been going, but they're actually up on kills, up on gold as well. If they can find Windstorm, if they can pop him down immediately, there's no question that they should be able to win the team fights that they engage here. But that is a big if they can catch Windstorm, because all the engagement tools right now are kind of dangerous for the side of Vengeful Reapers. They have to put themselves in some sketchy situations. If they use the hit but pulverize combo, JD is going to be really deep in. Same for Jason if he engages as well. Safest engage most likely going to be from Noise, or just flat out counter engaging, kiting back, using the Petrifying Gaze instead after backing up a little bit. But there's so much engage on the side of Glacial Inferno as well. Phallic Phenom and that girl have been spot on this game, able to find those engages. Yes, they did struggle in lane a little bit. You can see that girl still only 0, 2, and 6, but the utility of Ashe means that even if she is behind a little bit, unable to output necessarily the maximum amount of damage, she can still output a lot of utility with those slows, with that stun, with the initiate, and with the vision from Hawkshot. Now we see Vengeful Reapers identifying their win condition. They want to find Windstorm here because they know if they can get him, they'll be able to win the next couple of fights. But Windstorm playing very, very carefully here. Did spot them out and will instead just hug his turret there. I'm very curious to see how the next fight's gonna go here for both teams, because they both have really solid team fighting ability. They both have good CC and engage here from either team, and unlike usual, it's not going to be the team that pulls the trigger first, because both teams, their mid laners make engaging very, very difficult here with the Twin Shadows, with the GLP from Windstorm. It's very difficult to run into him, and with the baby cage as well, can definitely just stop engages dead in their track. If you step out a little too far, you might find yourself isolated and caged in. And on the side of Vengeful Reapers, Petrifying Gaze can turn massive team fights here. If they can catch all 5, they can just wipe them out before you're unpetrified there. So it's not as simple as pulling the trigger here. It's more, I think, going to be who can find the flank, who can find the catch, or who can burst down faster here in these fights. And with that, there are no major objectives up right now. The Baron was taken by Vengeful Reapers, and we do see, unfortunately, that the buff has worn out. They were not able to find themselves any turrets during the Baron buff, so a great Baron defense by the side of Glacial Inferno. And now they're looking for Jesus here. He's going to get dragged into the arena, but it's a 2v1, and they're going to be able to pick this up easy here. The unfortunately Frozen Heart still not yet completed for Jesus. He has completed the Cerberus Embrace though, so will have damage though, not quite having the tankiness he needed to survive that for now. And this could potentially be the second turret here for the side of Vengeful Reapers, helping them pull ahead a little bit more. And I'm liking the rotations right now. It's Vengeful Reapers kind of dragging Glacial Inferno around the map, making sure they're the ones to reach the objectives first, and they get that turret for themselves and back out completely safe. That Grow and Phallic Phenom rotating up there will not find anything at all for themselves, and the waves not even really pushing in their favor. So that Grow not comfortable pushing up, does not feel like she has enough vision or safety to be safe from Noise or Jason or even maybe Microthorn. But this stalemate will only last so long, as the dragon will be coming up in about 40 seconds here. There are pings already coming down from the side of Glacial Inferno. They want the dragons. They're trying to stack and reach that soul, the Infernal soul, for themselves. They'll increase the burst that they already have. And Drizzle almost going down. That wasn't even the full rotation. I don't think Dark Matter hit. That was just Primordial Burst there, as well as the Baleful Strike. And that's already Drizzle being forced out of the fight here, but he might have done it a little too soon. Dragon will be spawning in 10 seconds, and most likely Drizzle will be back with the rest of his team by then. Primordial Burst has a fairly short cooldown, only 55 seconds, so already more than halfway back. I'm not sure Vengeful Reapers will recognize this. We'll have to be careful. And Jez is well played in that top lane. Just going to keep on pushing, getting the inner turret. Has the teleport available as well. Will be able to rejoin his team here. But he's going to keep pushing until they need him. Event Horizon going to be used. That's going to be a 10-second cooldown here. And we see the teleport now from Jez. He's looking for the flank. He's looking for the back, trying to catch who he can. So it's going to be Hame Wave engaging there, looking onto Microthorn. The Petrifying Gaze comes out after the Ragnarok, and Kamehameha Wave is going to go down. Noise coming back in as well. He's going to go golden, buying himself some time. Will Chrono Break, but it might be a little bit too late there. He will eventually go down to Jez's, and right now it's only Jez's left alive actually. Will get trained down as well. JD going to be the one to pick up that fight. What a mess there between both teams. Their team looking horrifically coordinated. In fact, the split there was painful to see. Kamehameha just running in, his whole team trying to chase Microthorn, but they got split. Saw Drizzle on the side, and the re-engage just caught them. Looked like the back there, and so Windstorm was not able to survive. That girl going down very, very early, as well as Phallic Phenom, and just not good for the side of Glacial Inferno. With that, they will give up the Inferno Drake to the side of Vengeful Reapers. So 2 dragons apiece right now. It will also slow down that Inferno Soul and Elder Drakes, if that was what Glacial Inferno was hoping for. But to be fair, for Glacial Inferno, it's not the end of the world here. They will be able to continue just scaling up. And for Vengeful Reapers, they managed to find themselves the last outer turret here, finally at about 28 minutes. Will extend their gold lead ever so slightly. They're up about 4,000 gold at 30 or 28, almost 29 minutes here. Not the largest of leads, and that's showing in these fights and how tight these fights really are. You're not seeing one side just dominate. It's really coming down to just the mechanical prowess of these players here, because neither composition is as straightforward as just press R and win. Both compositions are involving a lot of positioning. The carries need to make sure they don't get bursted down right away, and we've got Jesus and Jason looking to try and access those back lines and just melt the carries here. And right now, both teams has had an opportunity to reset. We're seeing the Zhonya's Hourglass come out of Windstorm right now, so will have that available. But the question is, will Phallic Phenom survive as he gets caught out Windstorm now stuck in a cage with Jason KB. The Zhonya is going to keep him alive for now. He's going to fire back the Primordial Burst, but it won't find anybody here. And Vengeful finding 3 in that fight, catching Phallic Phenom right away there. And that's just a testament to how tanky they are. You see the Adaptive Helm already built for Jason in the top lane. And it's a really good adaptation here. It did help to reduce a lot of the damage coming out of Jez's and Windstorm. The Ceres Embrace as well from Microthorn kept him alive. The shield just blocking so much damage from that fight. And JD with the Locket of the Iron Solari, with the Gargoyle's Stone Plate as well, in that fight was tanking a bulk of the damage and still so healthy after that, because they just didn't want to fight a Kao who's that tanky with Unbreakable Will on top of him. And Vengeful Reaper is going to take advantage of this win here. They took themselves the Baron buff. They're going to push for this top inner trap, but they do have to be careful. That's 3 in the top lane here. Noah is going to use the Chrono Break really early and will just get bursted down by the Primordial Burst, by the VGR ultimate, trading his life. But Drizzle able to pick Kamehameha Wave on the back end there. So they are trading really 1-for-1 with turret. Definitely worthwhile for Vengeful Reapers here. With the empowered recalls, they'll be back in base. We'll be able to shop up, and that gold lead right now extending to 6,000, almost 7,000 gold. Jason KB able to disengage. The Realm Warp from Jez's has not, unfortunately, been that impactful thus far, besides that one gank they got off on Jason KB in the top lane. And even then, really, Jason still managed to get out, and I'm not sure that Rise was necessarily the best pick for the side of Glacial Inferno right now. Nevertheless, their scaling is slowly starting to come online. He has finally completed the Frozen Heart for himself, looking like he's going to build into the Abyssal Mask as well. Going to be absolutely a unit in that top lane there. But the fact that they've got so much AP damage for the late game is a little worrisome, especially when the Adaptive Helm has been built on Jason KB. Microthorn right now did build the Zhonya's Hourglass more for the active than for the actual armor stats, I believe, that it gives him for now. But if we do see JD starting to build a bit more magic resistance, besides that Locket, besides the Merc Treads, I think Jez's and Windstorm are going to have a lot of problems trying to melt through that front line. And it's a question of just whether they can reach Drizzle in the back end, if they can reach Noise, if they can reach Microthorn. And Drizzle already with the Death's Dance, so he should theoretically not be 100-0 right away by Windstorm. And with that, and the Blade of the Ruined King will be able to heal back up through the resulting fight as well. And it looks like Vengeful Reaper successfully pushing out Glacial Inferno for positioning on this Inferno Drake here. We see the teleport coming out from Jez's as well, but it's kind of far away. By the time he gets in, the movement speed buff from the teleport will be worn out. And you can see how fast it's getting shredded down. Vengeful Reaper is going to pick that up right away, but now here's the resulting fight from that. Jason KB going to get taken low, will hop back out of the pin. It's going to be Kamehameha Wave going down immediately right again here. They do find that grow as well, and it's going to be Phallic Phenom to follow. Where is Windstorm? He's off on the side getting zoned up by Jason KB, and Jez is going to get melted. This is exactly the way Vengeful Reapers needs to play this. They isolate Windstorm. Windstorm not able to get the damage down, and if he's out of the fight, then really there's not that much damage from the rest of the team right now. That grow only sitting on the Blade of the Ruined King and the Runan's Hurricane. Yes, it does scale with the enemy's health, so it's going to be useful at all stages of the game, but you can't kill the carries fast enough. And Kamehameha Wave on this Olaf, just not effective at all thus far. 2, 7, and 4 right now. This allows Vengeful Reapers to pick up the, after picking up the Inferno, to just shove into the base. They've got the mid inhibitor cracked as well. They're looking at that top lane. Microthorn going to walk the minions in for himself. Drizzle going to join up and shred this turret bot lane. They're pushing in Jason, KB, and Noise. That girl, Kamehameha Wave, and Phallic Phenom's the only one up for the side of Glacial Inferno. They've got to decide where they want to go, and they've opted for that top side. But Microthorn still has the Petrifying Gaze. It does come across. Ragnarok will stop it, and he will be able to find the kill onto Microthorn there with his life as payment. And we do see Drizzle now putting out the damage in the 1v1. He's just shredding that girl, and JD just body blocking everything right now. Phallic Phenom jumping back in, will get the stun once again. Primordial Burst will be able to convert, so they're going to trade ADC for support. But look at how tanky JD is there. He's just tanking for days, and now Jason finally showing up will go godlike as he finds that girl. Well executed fight here. A fight back from Glacial Inferno. Despite losing that 2-3, they actually fought that as well as they could have, given that they didn't have all their players up yet. But Kamehameha Wave is struggling here. He's 2-8-5. He's not tanky enough, and he's going down right now at the beginning of all the fights, not able to put out the damage here, and he should not be the one to be initiating these fights. They need Phallic Phenom to be the one getting in there to tank up, to soak the damage so that Olaf can actually reach the back lines. And that girl as well, just unable to put out the damage at this point on Drizzle, onto Microthorn. She's the one who's doing the damage onto JD, but JD's not the one who needs to die right off the bat. And Jason, despite having a bit of a rough early game, being behind in farm, has managed to bounce back admirably here. 9-3-10. He's the most fed person on his team right now. Is godlike so far, and looking like he might be building a potentially a GA. We'll have to see what that item is that he's looking for. There has the Titanic Hydra, has the Trinity Force, has the Adaptive Helm as well. So Windstorm struggling to burst him down. And Microthorn as well. We're used to seeing him in the top lane. We used to see him take over with picks like Mordekaiser or Darius there. And this time, in the mid lane with the Cassiopeia, he's been doing quite well for himself. The Petrifying Gaze has been less than stellar in terms of efficacy, but the damage he's putting out is undeniable, and that gets him 8-5-8 as a scoreline right now. Still well ahead of the curve here. And now Baron spawn. This is the third Baron of the game here. We saw the early Baron take at about 21-22 minutes, and Vengeful Reaper is looking to potentially get this one yet again here. Kamehameha flanking on the side here with Jesus is going to have to use that Realm Warp to rejoin the rest of the team because did not want to get caught isolated. And now both teams just fighting for position here, but there's Supers pushing up the mid wave, Supers pushing up the top wave as well. It's Vengeful's game here. They can afford to wait. Glacial Inferno cannot. And you can already see the super minions in the mid wave here about to enter the base top lane. They're starting to reach that inner turret, and time is ticking. Time is running out here for Glacial Inferno. Take a quick look at vision. There's no vision on the top side here for Vengeful Reaper, so if Glacial Inferno backs off, they're not going to know whether they're waiting in the fog of war there or if somebody actually went back to base, pardon me, and they soon have to because that's supers on the Nexus turrets right now. That's 2 in the base with 2 more about to come in from the top wave, and that's gonna let Vengeful Reapers comfortably start up the Baron here. JD running defense, running interference, has popped Unbreakable Will, has popped Gargoyle Stone Plate as well, and he bought his team enough time. That's Baron going down, and they might see the engage here. The Baleful Strike coming across, just gonna chunk Noise and Microthorn both there. But it doesn't matter. They'll be happy and fine with that because they got themselves Baron. And now they're going to look for the soul here. Inferno Soul just is forced to go back to base. The turret's still standing for now. Windstorm basing as well. They both do have teleport. But it's going to be Phallic Phenom potentially getting caught out here. The shred is good. Look at the damage they're putting out. That's the tankiest member there for the side of Glacial Inferno. And we see the teleports coming out. Jez is teleporting. Windstorm walking in, but that Inferno already down. That's going to be Inferno Soul here. Culling coming across will destroy Kamehameha Wave, and everybody just dying here. Only Jez is left alive, and he's running for his life. This might be game for Vengeful Reapers as they find 4 in the fight there. Jason KB just going to teleport, walk these supers in with the Baron buff. They take 1 Nexus turret. The rest of his team looking for Jez's Microthorn. Going to pad his stats there, going 11-5-10, able to take the kill thrown from Jason. And that's going to be game. They're on to the Nexus here. Vengeful Reapers takes game 1 here in commanding fashion. And Glacial Inferno actually did manage to stall out long enough that the composition came online, that Windstorm was able to one-shot the carries, but the problem was he couldn't reach the carries. JD on the Alistar doing work for his team. He's 4-2-23, highest kill participation on his team here. And despite the fact that, everybody on Vengeful Reaper is doing a great job here, Jason KB was the kill leader for quite a long time. 9-3 and 13, his final scoreline. Noise 5-5 and 16 might look like he didn't do a lot considering he was on an Echo and an Assassin, but you could see the way he was zoning out Jezzes, and he dived that girl fight after fight after the fight. That girl not having a fun game, had 0 PO this game as Phallic Phenom constantly initiating, going in, being that start of the fight, and that left that girl alone. And when you leave an Ashe alone with an Echo, the results can be quite unsightly. Microthorn going 11, 5 and 10 as well for his team. Just going massive in those late game team fights there. He too managed to scale up beautifully. Didn't go with the Leandries, instead opting for that Morelos as well as the Seraph's Embrace, which is core there on the Zonias as well. And Drizzle 7-2 and 17. And honestly, I didn't expect him to go full damage. As you can see, the Blade of the Ruined King there with the Black Cleaver for the health, for the stats and the Death's Dance. His job was just to bait out and survive the Primordial Burst from Windstorm, and he did that really well here. JD 4-2 and 23. I think he was the MVP really for his team, aside from stealing those 4 kills, because he single-handedly zoned out the enemy team, the entirety of Glacial Inferno, time after time, at Baron, at Inferno. He just runs in there, and you can't ignore the cow, because he can just get in there, displace people, stun them up, and it's just an absolute mess. And for the side of Glacial Inferno here, I mean, they actually played the early game fairly well. Mid-game, they started losing a bit of an edge, but that was to be expected with their composition. I mean, they have late scalers. Rise suffers from a bit of a dip in the mid-game. VGR as well, but Windstorm, absolute beast, 8-7 and 3, and he was really what was carrying his team through that early and mid-game. Found some kills, but unfortunately, towards the end there, just wasn't able to survive when Noise was diving him, when JD was just ignoring the entire team running in, when Jason was popping onto him. And we did see Jason single-handedly zone out Windstorm multiple times there, especially with the Adaptive Helm, was able to ignore a lot of the damage coming out from Windstorm and the damage he put down too. So definitely Windstorm just unfortunate here, his team not able to really help him out. And I have criticized the bot lane from Glacial Inferno before, but this time, despite that girl going 0-6 and 9, looking like a quite bad scoreline, I actually don't think it was that the bot lane played poorly at all here. That girl and Phallic Phenom did very well in lane in the early game, played it right, waited till level 6, went in, and fortunately Phallic Phenom was the one to pick up the kills in that bot lane, but I think in this case it was just more Ashe's immobile, and their comp needed them to sort of kite back and play ahead. But unfortunately, with Windstorm getting ahead, with Kamehameha being that Olaf wanting to go in, there was no fuel left for that girl, and so we just saw her left out to die repeatedly here in this game. Now going into game 2, I do think Glacial Inferno needs to adapt a little bit. I think the late game skilling comp wasn't a bad idea, but the way they're playing it, I think they benefit a lot more from a mid game composition where if they want to fight, they can actually take those fights, because right now it's looking like Vengeful Reapers has the better macro, at least here in game 1. So definitely looking forward to see what adaptations Glacial Inferno makes here in game 2. And with that, we are going to head to a short intermission break while we prep for game 2 here, and we'll see you all in a couple of minutes.
The most tremendous new musical experience you can